Hey, what is going? It is me, SR Mowry, and today I wanted to talk about, well, just Mistwood. It's been a long time. It's been like 4 months since the last video, and I just wanted to give some updates, because there is updates. There are updates. Anyway, so first and foremost, Mistwood is going to Comic-Con in Indianapolis, so that's going to be fun. I'm getting the banners done, and some really nice banners done, and we got these business cards, which will be handed out, not in the card protection, but they're like a trading card, but also a business card, and you can't really see in this light, but they're holographic, and they look really nice. I'll be posting some pictures of that later on the Mistwood Instagram, and you'll be able to see much better how they look. Although even still, they look much better in person versus anything I've been able to get with a camera so far. But anyway, so we're going to Comic-Con. That's kind of taking up a lot of my focus for the first part of this year in terms of like production and the logistical side of the company, because I have to get a lot of stuff ready. I have to have the books, enough books, as particularly Emerald Knights. I have to make sure I'm guessing how many books I need and things like that. But anyway, that doesn't mean that I'm not still slaving away at the sagas and trying to get those done. So I just want to update you guys on where that all is. So I'm going to show you my schedule. I made this yesterday just because I needed to redo some things. Alright, so clearly, obviously, last year we had Saga 1, which I have right here, part of the dealio. This year we had Emerald Knights for 2021. So that was the last 2 years, and so now we look for this year, because I mean we're already past mid-March in 2022, and it's St. Patrick's Day, the day that I'm filming this. So, you know, what's going to be the thing this year? And the answer, as you can see on this, is I don't really know yet. Nothing is really ready, and I don't think I could start many things and actually be able to get it out before the end of the year, because these things take time. But that being said, there are things that could be done quicker that would be neat, but it wouldn't be like a story, you know what I mean? Or at least not a new one, right? I have several ideas going through my head. It could be that children's book that I've been talking about. It could be a Saga 5 visual companion. It could be, there is a little bit of trickiness to that, but I just naturally over the years have been acquiring art for my monthly budgeted fund money. I've been occasionally getting a piece, like I have Roy and Urshka and Eliana, obviously, with Orso all drawn. So I mean, part of it's already done there, but I mean, I don't know if I would do that. And I have a couple other ideas that might end up happening. But I do want to have something for 2022 that would excite people. But at the same time, I'm like, as you'll see, I'm fully just very busy. So we'll see if anything comes out this year. I know that's probably not the news that people want to hear, but it's, what really matters is making sure that what is put out is quality. So then in fall of 2023, I hope to get Saga 2 Servants of Judgment out. That is currently with an editor. And just like with the first one, simultaneously with that release, there will be a visual companion. There will probably be a crowdfunding campaign, although my hope is that it won't be necessary by then. But I have been using the money I make as an adjunct professor, which is something I do on the side, to kind of pay for some of the visual companion stuff for that art, the Emerald Knights art, and hopefully next year's stuff will go for the Saga 2 cover. So hopefully I'm negating some of those expenditures so that a campaign doesn't have to be quite as stressful of an event for me. And I probably won't be using Indiegogo this time. I'm going to try Kickstarter because they do a little bit more in terms of helping you spread the word. So that's where that is. And I'll go over how busy this all looks here in a minute. Because on this it probably doesn't look that busy. So then in the spring of 2024, I hope to have the second Emerald Knights put out, and that might look a little bit different than the chart I put out a few months ago because I decided to merge the two books together. So instead of Emerald Knights Honor, Emerald Knights Treachery being two separate things, they will be together. I think 3 is a better number than 4, although it will be a little bit more packed and longer. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And if you don't know, part of me having to think through all of that is that the artist for Emerald Knights is not going to be returning. So I'm trying to figure out what that's going to look like moving forward, and so that obviously causes delays because I need to know what's going on. And as you'll see in a minute, I'm very busy, so I have to make time for it. And then pretty soon after that, I hope to have the last Emerald Knights out. And the reason that is because these stories are really meant to set up one of the main characters in Saga 3 that didn't have room to be put into Saga 1 or 2. Mostly because the events of Emerald Knights take place before Saga 1, so it wouldn't really make sense to put them in there anyway. It would kind of make this story have multiple timelines, and that would be kind of confusing like the first season of The Witcher, which I don't want. Although I did like that show, but you know what I mean. So then in the summer to fall of 2025, my hope is to have Saga 3 out. It's difficult to guess when that's going to be, if I'm even going to be able to get it out by then. But I'm really going to try very hard to get it out during 2025. And again, I'm going to go through where things are in depth here in a second. And then after that, Saga 4 and 5, which I've already written both of those, it's just a matter of re-editing them, and I'm going to be adding another storyline to Whispers of Dawn, and probably going through and changing almost every sentence to be more of my updated style of writing. With the Silver Mist, I'm really just going to be going through and fixing grammatical errors, maybe making some sentences stronger, and if there's any continuity issues that have arisen from writing the books before that, then I will correct those there. I plan on putting those out at the exact same time, as kind of like a package deal. Somebody doesn't have to get the reprint, but there will be things in there that will make you want to, and it's only going to be like $9, so why not? So then after that, there's going to be almost 2 years without anything. I guess, and I guess I could do it, space out Whispers of Dawn and the reprint. I could move the reprint to 2027 if I really wanted to have something every year. But, and I might end up doing that. We'll see. But anyway, Saga 6, which is the first, like it's the storyline that started it all in my head. I originally came up with the original idea of Elion and everything in high school, and this was a storyline that kind of kick-started it all. So I'm very excited to get into that and to write that. Now you'll see here on this bracket that there's not going to be a separate visual companion for each of the Elion books. And the reason for that is that the Narbad stories are sprawling, and there's dozens and dozens of characters, and they're different in each book for the most part. So it's kind of necessary to have one for each one. But the Elion ones are kind of like, the characters are the characters. Might be a few, I mean, there'll be a lot of side characters introduced, but as it goes along. But the general core of the main people will stay the same unless they die. So that's why that is. So I mean, this will be bigger, obviously, but there's not really a need to do 4 or 5 different ones. So we'll see. And then after that, it's to be determined, because what I'm going to do is, after writing the 6th one, my plan is to write the last 3 all at the same time, and then kind of edit them all at the same time, and then release them once a year after that's done. So there'll probably be a gap between 6 and 7 on when that releases, and that's because that's going to be, those 3 are going to be my Lord of the Rings, right? And I want, like, it's all kind of like the end, right? And I want it to be done properly. I want it to be as good as I can possibly get it. Part of me is tempted to merge 8 and 9, but it's like, no, or make another storyline in between 6 and 7 and kind of merge 7 and 8. I mean, it's all up in the air, so we'll see what happens. My main thing is, though, I like the idea of having 3 trilogies, so there will probably always be just 9. It's just what is in the last 3 might change. We'll see. I don't really need to go through this necessarily, but there's a few little hints at what's to come there if you wanted to look through it. So just to give you an idea of how busy it all is. So I wrote it down by month. So January through March, I've been editing Saga 3 Part 1. April, May, I'll be writing and typing Part 2 of Saga 3. My plan is to write it at night, type it in the day, during my spare time during the day, if and when that happens. So that typically what I do is I write it, the whole book, and then I type the whole book, and then I edit the whole book. With Saga 3, it's so complex and there's so much going on that what I did was I wrote Part 1, then I typed Part 1, and now I'm editing Part 1. And moving forward, what I want to do is write Part 2 and type Part 2 at the same time to kind of cut on time, save some time. So then June, July, my hope is to have Saga 2 in my hands again, and to be editing it. And also in those months, I have someone who edits books in a very short period of time, which I'll have them, for a price, obviously, and I'll have them look it through as the second editor. So June, July is really going to be all about Saga 2 for me. Full into that. Hopefully by then, I would be done with part 2 of Saga 3, because it would be kind of disruptive if I just stopped in the middle of it. But I do think I will, because I'm actually closer to, I think part of March will be also writing part 2. So I think 2.5 months is a decent, 2 months and like 10 days is a decent amount of time to write a part. It might take a little bit longer, that's okay. Then, so once July ends, and it's been through my editing and that second editor, my hope is to give it to the last group of editors, which are I'm going to be giving to 2 people at the same time, and that might seem counterintuitive, but the kind of editing they do is so different that it wouldn't really affect the other. I did it for Saga 1 and it worked out really well. And so they're going to be editing Saga 2 until hopefully the end of April, or or maybe May. The hope is to give them like maybe a full year, because it is a really big story. And so while that's happening, while Saga 2 is no longer in my hands, I've passed it off again, I am going to be in August through December, I'm going to be writing and typing Saga 3 Part 3, which is going to be the biggest of all the parts, because it's kind of the penultimate climax of the whole trilogy. And then January through the end of April, I'm going to be editing Saga 3 and in its entirety. And at that point, my hope is to pass it off to the first editor. And so while Saga 3 is then with the first editor, I will have Saga 2 again in my hands. And so I will be editing Saga 2 again from May until August. And then the hope is to produce Saga 2 from September to October, so that in November, and what producing means is just kind of getting the editing done, or not the editing, the formatting done, the cover done, those sorts of things, making sure the printer's all lined up and all the logistical stuff, so that in November, hopefully, it can release. And simultaneously as that, September, October, November, December, I will be writing and editing Emerald Knights 2. In 2024, January, February, March, we'll be editing / producing Emerald Knights 2, and then April, May, June, July, April, May, we'll be writing Emerald Knights 3. So as soon as I'm done producing Emerald Knights 2, I'm writing Emerald Knights 3. And then June, July, August, September, I will hopefully be editing Saga 3 again. And then November, December, I will be writing and producing Emerald Knights. Simultaneously that in September, October, November, December of 2024, my hope is to have a editor that I haven't acquired yet to be looking at Saga 3, someone that can get through it quicker, and otherwise it's not going to come out until like 2025, late 25. That's kind of the next few years. 2025 is mostly editing 4 and 5 and producing Saga 3, much more of the same. But I say all of that because it kind of helps put things into perspective for how much is going on at the same time. Right, so when one thing's with the editor, I'm working on another thing, and it takes, I spend 2, if not 4 or 5 hours a day working on this stuff. So, and part of that is because, I have a job that allows for that a little bit. I haven't been doing too much on the weekends, though, so maybe that's why it's moving a little slower, but you do have to take breaks, I'm not a mule. So that's kind of where things are. I hope that probably not the most interesting video, but it is an update on everything that's going on. And it is a lot that's going on, but making these outlines gives me a headache. But it does help me kind of see what is possible and what can actually get done and what needs to be getting done and be done by when. Because if I don't do that, it might end up, time can easily get away from you, and so it can be really confusing. But anyway, that is the update for now. I do plan on doing a review for the Batman, which hopefully I can get out late this week or early next week, and I might do several videos adjacent to that just because I like talking about it. So nothing Mistwood related, just geeking out. So have a lovely day. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video. We went back down to under 100 subscribers, so hopefully we can get that back up. But peace out.